welcome to this month's first filming of Spice It Up and Try Something New. This month's spice is from Old Familiar Ways, and it is smoked paprika. And you can actually smell it. You can smell it through the plastic. It doesn't get better than this. And this is our hero, Lee McGrilly of Wild Sport, who obviously brings her fan club with her, who I've already learned like 3 new things since she got here today. We're making
mushroom paprikash.
Okay, you go. Okay. I'm eating it. I'm
awesome.
Good.
All right. So chicken paprikash is a super traditional Hungarian dish. I learned, which I've never eaten, I don't think. Paprikash just means paprika. So chicken paprikash is paprika chicken. So today we're making paprika mushrooms. And I'll tell you, of course, we always do everything meatless and plant-based on this show. on this little web, whatever we're doing. But I will tell you, if you want to use chicken, I'll tell you how this would be different. But this one is lower in calories, lower in fat, lower in cholesterol, has more vitamins, more minerals, and is more affordable.
And better for the environment.
Yes. And better for the chickens.
And way better for the chickens.
So while we're waiting for this pan to heat up, we are going to, actually the first thing I'm going to do is chop up this onion, because that'll be the first step of this process, is to cook the onion. So just a regular onion. I like to start by cutting off both ends and then cutting it down head to butt to peel the skin off.
Or top to bottom.
Yeah.
Or vertically rather than horizontally.
Yeah, pole to pole, just not across the equator. Pole to pole is how we're going to do it. And then you just peel off the outer layer of skin, and then that way you have these nice half moons when you slice it. So that's all we're going to do. If you want to dice it, you can as well. I'm going to leave it in slices. While I was doing my research for this, I was just reading a bunch of different paprikash recipes because I didn't know what it was or how to make it. And there's definitely some different variations. And so I need for the Hungarian community of Fairport to not come after me if I do something wrong.
I was going to say, you've already started because it doesn't have chicken in it. And
so we're doing this, as everything in here, we are doing it our way. And that's usually the easiest way. So
lynchings are bad. Don't chase the vegan kid.
So we got a nice sizzle in there. Whenever a recipe has onions, I like to cook them first a little bit because they're so full of water, and all of that onion water tastes like onions. So we want some onion flavor in our dish, but we don't want everything to soak up those onion juices, because we don't want everything to just taste like onions. So we're going to let that cook down a little bit. And so to help the process, we're going to add a little bit of salt. The salt will help draw some of that moisture out of the onions. So once those are about halfway cooked, we will add our mushrooms and go from there. So we're using portobello mushrooms today. You can use any mushrooms you want, but if they have gills, you want to remove them.
Why?
If they have a lot of moisture in them, and they turn everything like this dirty black color.
Oh.
So if you've ever gone to a restaurant and had like a portobello mushroom burger that's just a cooked mushroom on a bun, and it's just like slimy, and you take a bite and the whole thing pulls out, they probably didn't de-gill it. There's no reason for a mushroom to be slimy or slippery. So taking out these gills, just use a spoon. They scrape right out.
I have never done that, which is why my mushrooms are slimy.
Yes.
Who knew?
Yeah. So if you were gonna just grill this whole, grill it with the gill side up after you've removed them, and a lot of water will accumulate in this little mushroom bowl that we've got here. So cook it on the bottom side first. Let that liquid accumulate. That's all good, and then you'll flip it. That side will dry out and cook, and then you'll have a nice, well-seared, much meatier textured mushroom. So I'll go ahead and get the gills off of this guy.
You know, when you de-gilled the first one, you said this one was, you were gonna do that first because
I did.
it's gonna be a pain.
Yeah.
How did you know that?
Well, so here's the first one that she was referring to. It's obviously older. I chose it at the store because it was the size that I wanted, but probably not the freshness. You can see how these are thick and meaty and smooth on top, where this one has thinned out and started to wrinkle. It's because it's older, the moisture has kind of evaporated out of it, so it'll still be fine when it's cooked. But because it's so much drier than the others, it's harder to get those gills. Like you saw how clean these ones go. This guy, I've tried to scrape the gills off. It didn't really work. So we did the best we can. This one's still gonna have them.
It's okay.
It's okay. So I'm gonna just cut these. They can be any size. We're gonna just kind of go chunks. So if you
We're
were,
gonna pretend they're chicken.
yeah, and there's a lot of variation on that too. I saw recipes with some chicken chunks. I saw a bunch with whole, like, legs and whatever. So if you were going to use chicken, you would skip the onion part first. You cook the chicken first and get a nice sear on it, and then you take it out of the pan and then do your onions. But this version is going to take so much less time. Those onions look good. They're starting to get slightly brown. They're about half cooked. We'll go in with the mushrooms. So traditionally, you would have to.
You know what? We absolutely, if we want to see the lynching, we need to do vegan cabbage rolls.
Yeah, cabbage rolls coming at you. Yeah, so this has to cook so much longer if you do chicken, especially if you use bone-in chicken, because it takes forever to cook. And we are gonna basically eliminate all of that. So this will be done in the time that you're watching it, and if it were chicken, you'd be waiting like another 45 minutes or so.
We would do the speeded up version badly.
We're gonna do, yeah, it's gonna be, I'm assuming, delicious. And today we are using smoked paprika, which is gonna make this taste like we cooked it over a campfire, so I'm very excited about that. I wore my camping shirt, not even for that reason, it's just a coincidence. All right, so I'm chopping up some garlic while we're waiting for those guys to cook. Do you know where paprika comes from?
No, I just assumed you did all the research.
I did. I was gonna just let you answer if you knew. Paprika is just a ground dried red pepper.
Oh,
Yeah.
like the kind I like. It's not a hot pepper?
Well, hot paprika comes from a hotter pepper. So there's different types of peppers that can be dried and ground into paprika, but traditionally your normal paprika is a red pepper that's grown specifically to be ground into paprika. It has a thinner skin.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that?
The things you learn at your public library.
Yes. All right, how are those coming? We're gonna let that cook a little longer. Crank up the heat if it's not.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. But again, because we're not using any raw meat products, it's a personal preference kind of on the doneness, because nothing in here will make you sick if it's undercooked. So we just want the mushrooms to get tender. They will cook down. Like the onions, mushrooms also have a lot of moisture in them. So we want to get a little bit of browning on those before we add more salt, because salt will make them just release their liquid super fast, and it'll dry them out a little bit, and then we'll have a bunch of liquid in our pan that we're not ready for.
Salt is what weeps things.
Yes.
If you read a recipe that says weep the tomatoes or weep the cucumbers, it means sprinkle them lightly with salt and it'll bring up the moisture.
Yep. Also very common in eggplant too. Just salt your eggplant and it won't be bitter and all that. So this is a super simple recipe. All you need, the onions and mushrooms, which are already in there, and then other stuff you probably already have in your pantry. We're only, in addition to this, adding, of course, the paprika, then some all-purpose flour, some vegetable broth, maybe a little butter, and some sour cream, which we are using a plant-based, non-dairy sour cream, as usual, and of course, use whatever kind you like. That's not till the end.
And your butter is also vegan.
I have plant butter as well, yes. So
Yeah, you're good.
those are looking good. All right, we're basically gonna make a sauce. If you watched our tofu video when we made the piccata, this is a similar situation. We're gonna use flour and butter and then add liquid to make a creamy sauce.
Am I taking these out of here?
Nope, we're gonna go right into the pan. So we're gonna add that butter. Once that melts, we're gonna add some flour. We're gonna do about equal parts. So I used about 1.5 tablespoons.
The operative word in this kitchen is about.
Yes. So approximately equal parts of butter and flour and paprika actually. So this pan is not super hot. If it were, we would want to remove it from the heat before we add the paprika because we don't want it to burn. If paprika scorches, it will taste bitter and we certainly want to avoid that. But heating it will release a lot of its extra flavor. This is already smoky, but as it heats, it's gonna join up with all these other flavors in the heat and it's gonna be awesome. So I think we probably got about 1 tablespoon in there. So we're gonna stir that till
and it smells wonderful.
as soon as it hits the pan, it just gets all up in those vapors. So we're gonna let that cook until the flour is cooked. You should not eat raw flour if you didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting.
Right, I don't know why you would want to, but you shouldn't. You should cook it thoroughly. So we're gonna let this go for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna add our liquid, and then we're almost done. There's a lot of debate on the internet on whether or not you should add tomatoes. We're opting not to. I don't know if we should or shouldn't, but we're not going to. Some recipes had canned tomatoes, some had fresh tomatoes, some said do not add tomatoes. So I just went with the easiest thing to do, which is to not use them. So
Paprikash doesn't have tomatoes.
I don't know. I've
Does
never read
it? Somebody out there knows.
Somebody out there knows.
I can't wait for the comments on this one, guys. Come on. This is done.
It's done? Okay. So I have this, yeah, we don't want it to burn. So I'm gonna add this coffee mug of vegetable broth.
Carefully measured.
Yeah, and we're gonna add it as Kathy stirs. And we're just gonna make sure that we mix in all of the flour. See how far that takes us. Stir in all the bits, make sure there's no chunks.
Can you guys see this in the mirror? Yeah? Because this is beautiful.
So as this simmers, it's going to thicken up a bit. At least it should. If it doesn't, we can add more flour. But it looks like it's thickening. So if you were using chicken, this is the point where you would put the chicken back in here and then either put it in the oven for like an hour or cover it with broth until it cooks again like an hour. But our version is done.
Gorgeous.
Our version is done pretty much right now. So I want to taste this. Oh, that's really good.
This is beautiful.
Oh shoot, we forgot the garlic.
We'll throw it in there.
Normally we would have put in the garlic at the same time we put in the mushrooms. We don't want it to stand up as much heat as the onions because garlic tends to burn fairly quickly too. So by adding the garlic at the end, for us here, we're going to have a stronger garlic flavor. The longer you cook it,
darn.
the more mild it tends to be. So, get my mushroom gills off of my spoon here. And then
Gorgeous.
we're going to just stir in a little dollop of sour cream. Get that off there.
She really can do this all by herself. I am irrelevant. But this is fun.
And then it's pretty much done. Do we have a plate down here?
We have
plates over here.
Can you guys see how beautiful this is? Gorgeous.
So
how come we didn't use him? Do we not like him?
Oh, I kind of just forgot because it didn't look like a mushroom as it was sitting there. So this is traditionally served over buttered egg noodles or some sort of spetzel. we're gonna serve it today with mashed potatoes because I thought that sounded good.
Ooh.
So we're going. Let's just spoon some of this onto a plate, and then just put a blob of mashed potatoes. If I had an ice cream scoop, I would make it pretty, but I don't.
Well, we can't eat it now.
And that's it. That's mushroom
And there's
paprikash.
dinner.
And
Yay! All right, Kat, you have to taste this.
we have a fork.
All right. Our filmographer is going to taste it.
She's sitting behind the camera, so you will hear her gag if she's not a fan. Yeah, as this sits on the stove, it'll continue getting thicker, so if you want it to be thicker, just keep cooking it.
That's really good.
We're getting nods of approval.
There
She
you
said it's
go.
really good if the mic didn't pick her up, so
This is very good.
super easy, so comforting. This would be perfect for a winter night, and it took us like 10 minutes.
Maybe, if that. So,
There it is.
there it is. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for something
Something else.
else.
See you then.
Bye.